Welcome to the Kingdom Culture Podcast that was created on purpose with a purpose to empower, uplift, and guide others to the center of God's perfect will. Kingdom Culture family, welcome back to the Kingdom Culture Podcast. I hope everybody's been having a great week. This week, I want to talk about pain. Because I've found myself labeling and placing my identity and my worth in the things that happen to me. But the truth is that pain doesn't define you. It's not who you are. It's not your purpose. It's not your future. And it took me a little bit to get out of the cycle of labeling myself these things until one of my mentors told me, hey, Abdi, guess what? Like, not to be rude, but your pain doesn't define you. It's not who you are. It's not your story. Pain's just meant to open our eyes. Pain, how I see it now is to teach us something. Pain shows up to allow us to grow and move forward better in life. Kind of like the same thing as mistakes, right? Pain does come with mistakes, but it's not who you are. It's not your purpose. It's not you or what people should only see, right? So, personally, I've endured more pain than I care to admit sometimes. The very first thing I can tell you, I've been rejected by my father, someone who was supposed to show up, protect me, show me love, allow me to see what it was like to be loved by a male figure, right? But instead he rejected me, and made me feel unworthy for a very long time. I was bullied growing up, picked apart for being different, my legs shorter than the other, so I walk a little bit different with a limp. My accent's different. It made me want to disappear in rooms I should have been able to shine in. It made me want to shut myself down because I didn't feel like I was cool enough or good enough to have friends or make conversations. I tell this story a lot because it's one of the main points in my life where I realized that not all people were bad. I have a best friend. She lives in Florida. Her name's Cassandra. And she's my childhood best friend. I met her when I was 10, something like that, maybe a little bit younger. And it was because we moved to Michigan and we were going to summer school. And my mom said, hey, you guys are going to go to summer school. It's cool. Like, I have another friend. Her kids are you guys the same age. They're twins. And so it was me and my brother and her brother. So it just kind of like was God's miracle of saying, like, here you go, guys. Here's a pair of friends for you to handle school, because we were migrants. We were in the migrant program. And back then, you didn't have a lot of people like us, right, in the U.S., and so I remember I literally met her and I was like, hi, how are you? Like, I looked down. I did not make eye contact with her because I was so shy, so broken. And I felt like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm starting over. Like, this is going to be worse. Another school, more bullies. And so I just couldn't communicate. And got on the bus, sat next to me, whatever. And we didn't say a word. Like, the drive to the school was silence. And then she gets off the bus. And my brother and her brother are already, like, speaking, chatting up, laughing, coming off of the bus. And I'm over here like, great, here we go. And she did something that I'll never forget. She stopped, she stopped in front of me and made sure that I looked at her. And she was like, hey, my name's Cassandra. What's yours? But she made me look up without, like, forcing me to look up, if that makes sense. And I told her, oh, my name's Abril. Like, nice to meet you. And after that, we just became friends. Very, very close friends. I'd be at her house every day after school and the weekends. All of our summers were spent together. And to this day, she's a really, a really special part of my life. And I'm never going to forget everything she's taught me about confidence, showing up, and just being yourself without judgment. She's one of the most silliest persons I have in my people that I have in my life. So, she showed me that not everybody's a bully. And it's been amazing. I've been hurt by people I love deeply. I've been hurt by friends who smiled to my face. Sorry. And then stabbed me in the back. Another big thing with me is I put a lot of my worth in relationships with men. And a lot of those men hurt me and mistreated me with words, with actions, cheated on me. One of them actually put his hands on me, but that's for another podcast episode. That's a little too dark for me. I don't like talking about that. But the point is that I was so lost in who I was because of the pain that I've endured through my childhood. I put my worth on relationships with men. I said, oh yeah, if a man wants me, then I made it. And that rooted from my father not being there, right? And that just broke me. I lost myself in those relationships, and I did my best, and I showed up, and I still wasn't enough. But in reality, that's not the truth. The reality is that everybody has traumas. Everybody has things that they go through in childhood, growing up, whatever. Life was just life. And instead of dealing with that, we don't. And hurt people. Because when you're healed and you show up, you notice that it's not about you. It's about them. It's what they've gone through. It's what pain they're hiding with their coping mechanisms and whatever else. And that's what I've came to realize. So now, right? Now that I've healed and I've learned to cope, to take my pain and not make it my identity, everything is different. And that's what I want for you. So, how did I get here? Let's talk about it. And I want you to know that, this isn't just think positive message, because I know that pain is real. It's heavy, it's messy, it changes us, but it doesn't get to name us. We are not our trauma. We are not our abuse. We are not our abandonment. We are not the person who always was left behind. We are loved. We are chosen. We are worthy. And guess what? We're going to be healing for the rest of our lives. So for me, like I always said, Jesus, number one. When I came to Christ, everything started to unbottle. All of the anger, all of the depression, all of the anxiety. I just came out at once. And I remember that I took a little bit of time to sit with everything, because when I came to Christ, I was very involved in my church. I was really trying to keep myself on the go, instead of sitting and spending alone time with myself in prayer. So once I stopped running and sat still and didn't make any plans with anybody, I didn't see anybody for like 2 weeks, I think. It's when things started to change. So number one for me was prayer and spending alone time with God. And that didn't have to look like me being on my knees praying all the time. It looked like me in a car driving, listening to worship music. It looked like me being in my room, laying in bed, crying. I have a beautiful testimony of one time where I was in a depression episode and my room was a big mess. There was clothes on the floor. My kitchen was just messy, right? People that have depression probably could understand what I mean. You kind of just stop doing the things that you're supposed to be doing. But anyway, I was in my bed praying, and I said, God, I need you to show up. I need you to come in this moment and bring life back into me, because I feel like I'm dying. Those were my exact words. Tell me why. God is so cool that he grabbed my hand. I kid you not, I was laying down like this and I felt my hand being held, and it was warm and it was amazing. And I get goosebumps every time I talk about it. But God is very real to me. And I will never forget when he shows up. And it's not the only time that he showed up, but it's one of the most special ones because it was when I first started my faith walk and I realized that he was real and alive. But anyway, number one, prayer, journaling, right? That really helps because you can put everything and anything you feel in a piece of paper and nobody ever will read it. If you don't want anybody to know what's going on in your heart, in your head, prayer and then journaling. That's what helped me. And every journal that I've kept, I kept it to myself. Nobody ever reads my entries. Nobody ever gets to see what I'm talking about. I ask myself deep connecting questions and I just let it all out on paper. If some of them were too deep and too dark, I'd rip out the page, throw it out. Because that's the number one thing you have to do. You have to spend time with yourself, right? You can't just go on with life without bumping within yourself, because the only person that can change you and heal you first is God, but you. Nobody's going to know you like you know yourself. Nobody's going to ever love you like you're supposed to love yourself. And that's the one thing that changed everything. I love spending time with myself. I love figuring out okay, cool. Why do I feel this way? Why did I do that? Why am I reacting this way? Self-awareness is where you heal. So stop running from the pain. Stop running from yourself and show up, right? Number 3 is setting boundaries. So learning to say no. I did not say no before because I felt like I needed to show up for everybody. I needed to be there for everybody. But in reality, that's not healthy. You can't be there for everybody. You can't be everything for someone. You have to know how to say no. So I started saying no to the things that hurt me. So I said no to drugs, alcohol, my distractions, pretty much people that were not healthy for me, even though they're people, we love them, but you have to say no. You have to realize that you yourself as a person, when you're growing, you're going to lose things. And whether that be friendships, habits, whatever else, when you grow, it's because you're removing things from your life that are no longer holding you back. A lot of people think that when you grow, you have to keep adding on to who you are, but in reality, it's removing the things that are no longer aligning with who you want to become. So say no, set your boundaries, and start cutting things off. Right? And another thing that helped me was the gym, obviously. I love being in the gym. A lot of people tell me, why do you go to the gym so much? And I'm like, it's not for my physique. Let me be real. It's not because I want to look built or whatever. It's because when I'm in there, it gives me this sense of confidence. Because one, I am showing up in a room full of people where I would have not shown up before. I would have said you know what? No, that's not for me. They're going to make fun of me. My leg is different. I can't walk, right? I can't do the same exercise as everybody does. So I'm not going to show up. Number 2, endorphins and the mental resilience that it takes to show up to the gym, even though you don't want to. Discipline. And then number 4, right? Your body. You look good. So if you look good, you feel good, right? And you don't put your worth or your self-worth on those things, the things that are going to help you heal. You don't do that, other than, be grounded in Christ. But I'm not, I don't have an identity in the gym. I don't have an identity in my journaling. I don't have an identity in saying no. My only identity that I hold true to myself is that I'm a daughter of God. Christ is my rock and my savior, and that is who I am. He says who I am. And if you don't read your word, I'm going to encourage you that you start to. Because when you replace the truth, I'm sorry, when you replace the lies with the truth, everything makes sense. So Romans 8:28 says, all things work together for good to those who love God. I had to cling to that. Even when things didn't feel good, I had to trust that something beautiful was going to come out of something so broken. Right? I had to realize that God only was trying to meet me where I was so that I can become better. Another one that I love is Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that you are beautifully and wonderfully loved and made in God's, everything. So allow yourself to know who you are through Christ. And if you're not a believer, I totally get it too, right? That's a whole different topic. But if you're not a believer, you can journal, you can go to the gym, you can go to walk, you can just spend time with yourself, right? Start, removing the things that you don't want to be, who you don't want to be, and allow yourself to know who you are. Like, who are you as a person? What makes you mad? What makes you upset? What are your values? What are the things that you want to stand up for, right? What do you want your life to be remembered as? And that's when healing starts, because you start to say, you know what? No, I don't want to be as reactive. I don't want to be yelling all the time. I don't want to be as angry. I don't want to be as sad. I don't want to be triggered so much by the people around me. Start questioning the things that you do, and things will start to shift. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. And remember that your pain has not swallowed up your identity. Your pain is a chapter, not your whole book. You are not too far gone. You are not too damaged. You're not too broken to build a beautiful life. You can create joy again. You can trust again. You can breathe. And here are some questions that I want you to ask yourself so that it helps with starting your healing journey. 1, what pain have I been letting define me? 2, who would I be if I gave myself permission to let go of that story? And 3, what would it feel like to step into healing as part of my identity instead? I'm proud for you for being here, for showing up, for being open to hearing this message and choosing healing again and again. It takes courage, it takes faith, and it takes love. And if this episode spoke to you, please DM me. I want to hear what resonated with you. Tell me your story. Tell me, what you got going on. If you feel like somebody can hear this message and gain some value, please share it, right? You are not your pain. You are not your past. You are not your wounds. You are so much. Remember that I love you, but that the Lord loves you more. Always, always, always. We'll catch you guys in the next episode.